Butterfly Faith, a parable for our day. Written and narrated by Jim Willis. Music by Ajit Padmanabh. Production design by Jan Willis. Charlie Caterpillar had no idea why he spent so much time hanging around with his friend Larry. It seemed nowadays as if the two had nothing in common. Aside from their love of cattail roots, they seemed to disagree about everything. Talking to Larry just wasn't any fun anymore, even though they had been friends their whole life. "Why are you always so angry?" Larry asked him one quiet summer afternoon. "You never seem to say anything positive anymore. It's always about things changing for the worse, or about nothing getting better. Why not accept the fact that life is what it is?" Charlie huffed, as only a caterpillar can. "I suppose you're one of those pie-in-the-sky types who think everything is getting better all the time. Well, I've got news for you. Things aren't getting better. As a matter of fact, things are worse, a lot worse. If we had any sense at all, we'd start living the way we used to, when caterpillars knew where they were going, when insects knew their place, when flowers grew everywhere, and we could come home at the end of a long day, put all of our feet up on a feet stool, and munch on a good stem or two. Life was simpler then. Things made sense. Now, everything's changed." "Come on," said Larry. "No wonder they're calling you Charlie Conservative. As a matter of fact, I lived through those days too. There were a lot of caterpillars that weren't even allowed into the cattail patch. I personally knew about a whole bunch of stuff that was going on, and it wasn't exactly worth holding on to. Have you forgotten about how a few caterpillars who owned the best locations kept the rest of us out of the patch? Did it slip your mind that a whole lot of underprivileged caterpillars didn't have access to any help when it came to work with their sick kids? Did you really like having to spend from dawn to dusk eating your way through the cattail roots just to have to get up the next day and do it again?" "Well, there you go," snarled Charlie. "Rewriting history. Nobody on my block had to worry about any of that stuff, and the ones that did just didn't have enough initiative to get off their fat caterpillar tails and go to work. We knew who we were back then. Everyone had a place, and everyone kept in it. And if they tried to overstep their bounds, well, we put them down pretty quick. We had values back then." "Right," Larry retorted. "Values. Whose values? Yours? Or those passed down by someone else who wanted to keep things the way they were?" "If I'm Charlie Conservative, then you're Larry Liberal. Listen, you can't deny that basic caterpillar values have gone down the tubes. This world is going downhill faster than you can say flaming flower petal, and don't try to deny it." "Well," said Larry, after a long pause, "I guess I have to agree with you. Things aren't the same as they used to be, but all I'm saying is that maybe that's a good thing. I mean, everything wasn't always fine and dandy, you know. There were serious problems back then. Maybe, though, just maybe, the future isn't as bleak as you paint it out to be. What if there's something to this chrysalis theory I read about in the paper? Maybe we can change and become something different." "Chrysalis," Charlie humphed again. "Right, yeah, I read about that. some newfangled, far-out, new-age propaganda that doesn't make a lick of sense. Look, I'm a caterpillar, right? You're a caterpillar. We've always been caterpillars, and we're not ever going to be anything different than caterpillars. If you'd listen to the talk radio programs once in a while instead of spouting crazy theories that don't stand up in real life, you'd know that. So get off your high horse and stop bothering me with nonsense. Do your research. The world is going to hell, plain and simple. That's that. Don't try to convince me otherwise. And so Charlie and Larry went their merry way, eating cattails as they had always done and shouting at each other across the flower patch. But one day, something started to happen. Their urge to move just stopped. In panic, they attached themselves to a sturdy vine and began to spin a cocoon. Larry was excited. What's next, he thought. Is there a new life out there? Charlie, of course, panicked. The only life he could imagine was fundamentally the one he remembered, and he couldn't imagine anything different. He thought he was dying. He thought everything in his world was never going to be the same. And he was right. After a long struggle, both Larry and Charlie emerged from their old world, spread their wings, and began to fly. Side by side, they started shouting and singing, embracing the joy of their newfound freedom. "I knew it," said Larry. "New life. Ain't it grand?" "Never a doubt," said Charlie. "Never a doubt." And they flew off together into a brand new world.